Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Trinity Long Room Hub for the launch of the Aspergers Syndrome Support Service website. I would like to particularly welcome the Minister for Health, Dr. James Riley, who has taken the time out of his busy schedule to be here with us this morning. Firstly, I'd like to introduce myself. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Claire Gleeson and I am one of the occupational therapists in the Unilink service here in Trinity College, Dublin. I work primarily with students with Aspergers syndrome, and today we are here to officially launch this website. This website has been a student initiative supported by the Unilink and Disability Service over the last academic year. Trinity College, like other third-level institutions, has seen a rise in the number of students with disabilities entering into third level. One of the biggest increases is the number of students entering college with Aspergers syndrome. Over the past 4 years, the number of students with Aspergers syndrome utilising the supports from the Disability and Unilink service has increased fivefold. Currently, there are over 40 students utilising supports, and Trinity now has the highest number of students with Aspergers syndrome studying in Ireland. The College Disability Service and the Unilink service provide a unique collaborative model of support for students with Aspergers syndrome. It aims to support the student at all stages in their student journey. Initially, in their transition into college, their career and path through college to graduation and into employment. Students have the opportunity to avail of both one-on-one practical sessions with an occupational therapist in managing the demands of being a student and the role of being a student. That is both academically and socially. We also provide a leisure group which meets with students on a weekly basis to support the integration into the social aspects of college life, because they're also vitally important. As a new student, you're an explorer in a new, large and unfamiliar environment. As you step through the gates, the Trinity Arch and onto campus as an undergraduate or postgraduate, it brings with it new challenges to tackle and master. These new experiences can be overwhelming for any student, but may be even a little bit more difficult for students with Aspergers syndrome. It is with this in mind that this support service website was developed to inform prospective students with Aspergers syndrome entering into a new world of third level education. The main feature on the website, which you can see above me here, is the video wall. It hosts 7 videos of students sharing their experiences of university life, both undergraduates and postgraduates. Each student explores different topics and themes that relate to college life that they felt were particularly important for them and for any incoming student. They also provide useful hints and tips for any of those students embarking on a new college career. Furthermore, the website also hosts Trinity College's first iBook, entitled The A to Z of AS by the late Dr. Jan Kenny. This was written with the aim of helping students and other individuals with Aspergers syndrome to tackle and navigate the difficulties that they may face on a daily basis. The website endeavours to provide some useful insights into university life for both incoming students and for students who are already studying here at Trinity. It offers practical advice from their peers on how to manage the role of being a student. It also ventures to raise and create an understanding of the experiences students with Aspergers syndrome face in college, and promotes college as an inclusive environment in which one can reach their full potential. It also identifies a vision for the future, in supporting more students with Asperger's syndrome to enter into the stream of third level education. I would now like to invite the Minister for Health, Dr. James Riley, to officially launch the website.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm very, very pleased to be here, and I'm very honoured to have been asked to launch this website. First of all, I'd like to thank Claire Gleeson herself and Declan Traynor, who's the Director of Disability Service, Dr. Cory Nolan, who's the Director and Head of Discipline of Occupational Therapy here, and Anne Fitzgerald, who is the College Secretary. And I'd also like to thank Amanda Peace as well for two things. Number one, explain to me how to pronounce Jan Kenny's name, because it's spelled out peculiarly. And secondly, because she reminds me of a funny story about my son, Jamie, who, when he had started to speak and we were going to Mass and we had explained to him the ceremony around shaking hands in church and peace be with you, I overheard him. I thought he was doing a great job, but I kind of thought it sounded a little bit different, and as I listened more carefully I found he was shaking hands and saying pleased to meet you. Fair play. A long road has been travelled by many of the people here, and many of the people that I'd like to thank too, in particular Jack, Henry, Matthew, Alex, Finn, David, and of course James himself. It's great that they have the confidence to put themselves in front of a camera and to talk about their experiences here at Trinity College. And I think today is about two big messages, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. But I'd like to, I suppose, talk about another person who worked here at Trinity College, Professor Michael Fitzgerald, and his book, Unstoppable Brilliance. And I want to talk about this because I think it's important. It underlines and underscores the message of today, that some of the great geniuses of our time were people who, on reflection, using the diagnostic criteria we have now, were surely on the autistic spectrum. The likes of the man known as Ireland's Einstein, Richard Hamilton, our greatest mathematician. The likes of who attended here at Trinity College, the likes of Yeats, who, although he didn't get in here, was a genius in his own right and well recognised. And he was mentored by Professor Edward Dowden from this august institution. And we have the likes of Beckett, and we have indeed the likes of Emmett as well. So these are people who have contributed hugely to not just Irish life, but to the life of the world. And this is the sort of potential that lies within many of our people if they're given the opportunity to explore and exploit it. And that's what this program is about, encouraging people who may feel somewhat intimidated by their early life experience of school, coming to university. And I just want to mention very briefly the issue around diagnosis and prognosis. Diagnosis is hugely important to the parents of children who have autism or Asperger's. But prognosis is something we want to be very careful of, and nobody should ever set a limit on a child's horizon. So, to return to today's theme, what we have here are several young men, and it seems to affect boys a hell of a lot more than girls, who have put themselves forward to offer support to those coming behind them, to say to people, look, do come to college, you can have a good time here, you can be educated here, you'll fit in here. And the message from Trinity College itself, which I think is very important too, you'll be supported here. So it gives me great pleasure indeed to launch this program today, and I hope that the numbers, which have increased hugely here at Trinity College, will continue to increase, and that many, many more people who are on the autistic spectrum and whose parents receive that diagnosis will realise that it is not a door closing, but in fact an opening to many other doors. Thank you very much.
Many thanks for that speech, Minister. It's now my great pleasure to hand over to the students. This is a student project. So some of the students today would like to share with you their experiences of university and Trinity life, and to tell you about their involvement in this project. Firstly, we will watch a video by Jack Hickey, a 4th year history student who will show you through the gates and the arch of Trinity.
Welcome to Trinity College. My name is Jack Hickey and I'm a 3rd year history student here. I'm here to tell you a little bit about the history of Trinity College and my experiences here. Trinity College is the oldest university in the whole of Ireland and rated as one of the best universities in the whole world. It was founded in 1592 and its original name was Queen Elizabeth's College of the Holy Trinity near Dublin. That was because at that time Dublin was so small, even here in the middle of Dublin was just outside the city. Some of the most famous people from Ireland who've contributed to every area of life, the arts, literature, politics, science, have come from Trinity, have studied in Trinity. Some are like Edmund Burke, a famous writer and founder of political conservatism, came here. Oliver Goldsmith, who has the statue over there, another writer. Oscar Wilde, the famous playwright. Edward Carson, who was a political leader of unionism who prosecuted him in his trial. Mary Robinson, our first female president and currently working for the UN. This is the Trinity College Long Room, which is located on campus just opposite the Arts Block. It's a very interesting place to come as a tourist, or especially if you're thinking of doing history as I have. If you're a student at Aspergers, you may want to come to the college to orientate yourself around the campus. And also, as a student of history, I found this place very interesting because it has the Book of Kells, and the Long Room is also very interesting historically.
Well done, Jack. I'd now like to invite Matthew Corbally, a 3rd year English student, to share with you his involvement in the development of this project and website. Matthew.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start off by saying it's an absolute pleasure to be up here speaking to you all. I'm frankly very honoured to have this opportunity to speak in front of an audience composed of such illustrious figures such as Minister of Health, Dr. James Riley, and to be speaking on behalf of all the students who are taking part in this initiative. I'm going to talk about the 2 projects I was mainly involved in, namely the video series that we were seeing there, which were aimed at prospective students with AS and other autistic spectrum disorders, and the Age-Set Guide of AS, which has the distinction of being Trinity College's first ever iBook. And it goes without saying that your first year in college is a pretty novel and in some cases overwhelming experience, especially for someone who has AS, and even more so when film and television have led you to believe that college is full of nothing but crazy debauched parties and nothing else, which sadly is not true. I remember feeling somewhat anxious, confused, and a little bit terrified at the seemingly monolithic idea of college and the various challenges that are awaiting me. Things like having to adapt to a new academic system of lectures and tutorials, and taking initiative as a student as opposed to having it handed to me as homework. And meeting people outside of the familiar context of secondary school, these are all pretty difficult at first. And the obstacles involved with getting to grips with being self-sufficient and actually practicing wise financial business made me feel at times I really wasn't cut out for this university malarkey. Thankfully, I had the support of family, friends, and most relevant to this event, lovely people in the Disability Service and Unilink. Without the people like Miss Claire Gleeson and Mr. Declan Traynor, I was able to adapt to my new situation and thrive as a student at Trinity College. I've always felt particularly grateful to Unilink and Disability Service for all the help they gave me, so I'm always willing to help out with any projects they are running and support students in their way. So when this project came about, and this project came out, and we were invited to share our experience of college and give some recommendations to any incoming students. I found the idea a particularly good one. There was a lot of obvious benefits. And after some initial reservations about how non-photogenic and unflattering I would appear on camera, I agreed to take part. It was emphasized to us that this was essentially the lab project. It was very important for us as students to share our experience of college. We had a couple of meetings where we discussed the various topics we wanted to address, and also the nitty-gritty about actually shooting the film. We each picked a different topic to discuss based upon our own experiences and inclinations. And as I am pretty heavily involved with student societies and student union, I volunteered to talk about those two subjects for my video. The main reason being that the students union and student societies are a tremendously huge part of the college social experience. And as students with AS have difficulties integrating into college social life, I thought it'd be a good idea to explain how these systems worked and to encourage them to join, take part, and make some new friends. We also had to think about what backdrop we wanted for our videos and where we wanted to shoot, which is pretty interesting because you never actually really think about the visual aspect of it in that regard. So I pushed it to my scene in the two places I spend most of my time, the arts block, which is over there, and the science fiction society room, which also works as a covert ad for my society. It was a pretty good experience overall. It was pretty fun and interesting to improvise educational speech on the spot to a camera. It was great crack working with the film crew and the students and just pretty much complaining about the seagulls that are harassing us and the cold wind interfering with our speech. I'm pretty happy how it turned out because I've already had a student come up to me who had AS and talk about how my video helped them to understand the SU and to help pick out society. So it's very good to know that these videos are already having an effect and reaching out to students and are benefiting them by letting them know that it is possible for you to come to Trinity with AS and thrive, and so what you can expect in general here. And the second project I helped out with was editing the A to Z guide of AS for online occupation. It was an honour to work on this, as it was written by Dr. Jan Kelly before she regrettably passed away, and I sort of had to balance between being a proper editor and being respectful. It was very interesting having to work with the other editors and illustrators to make the manuscript into a cohesive, well-presented document, and also to help out with a milestone for Trinity College as a whole. It's also pretty fun having to read all the little jokes and interesting stories that Jan had for us and seeing the lovely illustrations that Sheena came up with. I hope that over the next few years the iBook will help anybody with AS adapt to college and give them helpful hints for dealing with life and university in general. Now, I myself have got another year and a half before I graduate and receive my degree, hopefully, and I wouldn't have gotten this far without all the help of this bit of service and Unilink. I've had a great time so far, and I'm glad to know that, in my own small way, I've made Trinity less mysterious and more accessible for future students with AS. Thank you for your time. I'll stop boring you all immensely. After this, we've got Henry Glass's video. He's a second-year science student, and he is going to talk about the transition from secondary school to university level, the differences in teaching methods, and just gives any helpful hints to anyone who's struggling with transition. Thank you very much.
Hello, I'm Henry Glass, a first-year science student of Trinity College, Dublin. As a student with Aspergers, I know how daunting it may be to be going to a new place for the first time and wondering what you may have to encounter or deal with when you get there. And yes, the transition from secondary school to college can be very difficult, especially in terms of adapting to your new surroundings or getting to know new people. College is a lot more unstructured than school. My first experience of this was going to lectures and being given reams of information and being expected to learn this and learn it on your own bat and learn it on your own accord. You could have sat in that lecture hall and played games on your phone for all the lecturer knew. But if but if you didn't apply yourself, you were going to get nowhere. Like, so there's an element of self-discipline in terms of study, work, getting assignments in on time, all that stuff. It's really a gradual curve. It's a gradual slope upwards. You get more and more used to it as you go on. So from my experience, I know that I didn't get used to the whole college thing for about 3 months, and after about 3 months I started getting more into the work routine, the taking full notes in lectures, everything. And if you find yourself struggling at the beginning of college, I would not worry, because as I can tell you from experience, it gets easy. It gets a lot easier as you go along.
Thanks to Henry for his video and insightful tips for incoming students. I'd now like to welcome Jamie Riley, who will share with you his student experience in Trinity College Dublin. Jamie.
Hello to you all. My name is Jamie Riley and I am a former student of Trinity College, and now I'm currently studying a Master's in Biotechnology in Queen's University Belfast. I would just like to talk to you about some of the experiences I've had during my time here in Trinity. My course was in natural sciences, like Alex, and which lasted 4 years. The first 2 covering the basics in chemistry, biology and maths. The classes were very large at the time, numbering in the hundreds. Being quite shy, I was slow to make new friends, sticking to the ones that I knew from secondary school that were also studying in Dublin at the time, and even then meetings with them were few and far between. Most of the time I would just go back home once my lectures and lab practicals were finished, as they would run from 10 in the morning to 6 in the evening on most days of the week. It wasn't until third year, when I specialised and went into a much smaller class, that I really got to know people and things really took off. As for what was like my first years, I did find it to be quite daunting. It was a huge change from being in a secondary school with small classes to sitting in lecture theatres with hundreds of others. It was also hard to find out those subjects that you did quite well in secondary level, only to be woefully inadequate at the college level, especially pharmacy and chemistry. That said, I didn't exactly read as much as I did in secondary school, which leads me to my next point. In my case, in secondary school, you had to do study periods in the evenings. For me, it was usually for 3 hours on weekdays and 1.5 hours on a Saturday. So obviously you'd have time to get your homework finished. In college, there's no such thing. How you manage your time is completely up to you. And for a person who has Aspergers or autism, a lack of structure can be the worst nightmare, and can be quite hard to manage. For me, though, a tendency to procrastinate was more often the case, a habit which I'm still prone to today. Third year and fourth year were what I would regard as the best years of my life. I'd made some very good friends in my times being out and about with them. My favourite memory being after we were finished with our final exams and getting our results, going on a week-long class holiday to Santa Ponsa, which thankfully I came through with my well-being and liver intact. Hopefully my graduation ceremony tomorrow will be just as memorable, both during the conferral and the inevitable night out that will follow. Being in the Masters for only a few weeks, it has been a bit similar to the undergrad I did here at Trinity. Many lectures so far have involved just going over the basics, although I am pretty sure that will probably change in the next few weeks with more advanced topics being discussed. What is different though is that there is a lot more continuous assessment, as there will only be 3 exams during the year. Most of these assessments are to teach you essential aspects of conducting research, which are vital if you're going to pursue a career in that field, culminating in a research project to be carried out in summer months as part of your overall grade. Oh, and as a result of that, there'll be no summer holidays. Having said that, I have fewer lectures to attend, and that gives me more time to go to societies, which I really hope to get into during the course of my Masters, as I did not really get involved when I was an undergrad here in this college. Again, this needs to be balanced as to not impinge on my academic endeavours. I would like to thank the Disability Service for the help and support that they gave me during my time at Trinity College. In particular to Claire Geeson, who was always helpful and supportive in my endeavours. Going back on the subject of graduation, I feel like I've accomplished something that for many people can be quite difficult and stressful, let alone for someone who was originally considered to have no real future. I grew up at a time when autism wasn't even acknowledged in Ireland, and there were no real services to help those who did. It was mostly up to my family to help me out, my mother especially, who had, through a combination of her sheer perseverance and almost saint-like patience, along with the gentle encouragement of my dad, my brothers and sisters, and all the friends I had around me, drew me out of the dark and into a better, brighter future. So I feel that when I go up and receive my degree, I would like to think of it as a great moment of vindication, not just for me, but for my family, my friends, and for any of the students here who have yet to finish. It may be hard, but it can be done. But I'm getting ahead of myself. This isn't about me, it's about all of you. Videos made by other people who have participated as well as myself can be found at www.tcd.ie/disability/AS. Here you can find helpful information on not only what the Trinity's Disability Service can provide, but also the experience of others in their time in this college. Some of the videos have just been shown here. There are a few more if you want to look at them. Although going to a big college might seem very intimidating to a person on the autistic spectrum, you will find that the services provided by Trinity will not only help you survive, but thrive during your time here. But most importantly, to help you have a good time. And so on that note, I thank you for listening.
Alex, I'm sure they will have a great day. I would now like to invite Dr. Amanda Peace, Dean of Students and Supervisor to the late Dr. Jan Kenny, to say a few words about the launch of the iBook.
Conscious I've got some great acts to follow here. I supervised Jan Kenny's dissertation on language in Hamlet between 2003 and 2008. And it was an extraordinary thing for her to undertake, really. The chapter headings from the thesis include such things as the manipulation of intellect and emotion by speech in Hamlet, reason, emotion and digression in soliloquy in Hamlet, disrupting and interrogating order through speech. It was all about investigating the mysteries of communication, the instability of meaning. And as time went on and I got to know her, I understood how what she was doing academically was absolutely connected to the difficulties she was having, or her assessment of the difficulties that she was having in communication, that she really wanted to get to the bottom of this, to understand how you can communicate in a stable way. So it was a very brave, possibly foolhardy thing for someone with Aspergers to undertake. But she did it, and she did it extraordinarily well with her typical, irrepressible energy, this extraordinary work ethic. She kept me on my toes anyway. And our running joke was that, excuse me, she was like the character of Sophie in one of the children's books my daughter was reading at the time, who was continually described as being small but very determined. And she would come into me again and again and again, asking questions, wanting to know the next thing, continually refining the information that she was finding and weaving it into this brilliant argument towards the end. And it seems to me, looking at her book here, that her A to Z is an entirely appropriate testimony to the work that she tried to do, both academically and personally, in proving that there was no limit to what she could achieve. And when I was looking at the A to Z last night, again, in preparation for today, it was almost as if she was standing behind me in the room. It catches her voice, absolutely. And if you don't mind for 2 minutes, I'd just like to read you two very short sections from it, because those of you that knew her will hear quite exactly Jeanne's voice in all of this. She was from Coventry, I've got a bit of Birmingham, so you know the accent is almost there as well. On acting, this is performing socially. My advice would be compromise. Okay, so you want to be able to negotiate the neurotypical world as efficiently as possible, but don't put outrageous demands on yourself. Aim for behaving in a way which is passably socially acceptable, but which you can maintain without undue strain. And then, for those of us that didn't get it, summary. Acting as something you're not can be very exhausting. Being accepted as a fake means having to keep faking. It makes more sense to behave in a way which gets you by, but which doesn't place unreasonable demands on your physical and mental health. And that incredibly generous negotiation between where she was and where she knew other people were is absolutely typical of her. And that interjection, okay, so you want to be able to negotiate, just sounded so familiar that it really brought her back. And then another section, belief versus fact, opinion versus truth. What does being honest mean? One thing it could mean is telling the truth. But unfortunately, unless you're a Zen master, a certified genius, or an omniscient deity, you're unlikely to know the truth. In fact, when you speak what you assume to be the truth, all you're really doing is giving an opinion. And this was a discussion we regularly had when we had disagreements about some of the things that she was writing. Her voice is absolutely there, and her enthusiasm for her study, her enthusiasm for life, her continual energy to communicate the relationship between where she was and the people she was speaking to are very clear in this, I think. It's marked with a breathtaking honesty, it's articulate, it's challenging. It puts what she calls neurotypicals in the alien space, and I think from that point of view helps us to understand exactly her daily experience. It is an iBook, it's the college's first iBook. We're very proud of it from that point of view. We're very proud of it as a testimony of Jeanne's huge success, as a memorial to her. She was a vital force for change in the college while she was here, and I think she would be very, very pleased about this event today.
Thank you for that. Finally, as we come to the end of the launch today, there's a number of people that I would like to thank. I would like to take this opportunity to the Minister for coming and giving us a wonderful speech and for launching the website today. I would also like to thank James Dunn and Dave Rafferty for the production of the videos, Oisin O'Brien and Houston Maxwell for their input into making the videos what they are. I'd also like to thank Dr. Peace for launching the iBook, but most importantly of all, today of what the day is about, I would like to thank the 7 students for all their hard work and effort into making today what it is. Jack, Henry, David, Finn, Alex, Jamie and Matthew. Thanks, lads. This project would not have been possible without you, so I thank you from the bottom of my heart. My thanks also go to you for coming today to celebrate the launch of the website. I'd now like to invite you all for some light refreshments. Thank you.